What do you know about a monopoly so far?
Whereas like Monopoly when there's what one buy one seller.
Just one seller. There can be
Oh,
lots
yeah,
of,
one seller, many buys.
yeah. A pure monopoly is when there's one seller in the market. Or monopoly power can be there's a few sellers, but one or two of them have monopoly power, which means that they have a high market share.
Mm.
In either case, whether it's exactly one or whether it's a few, but one of them dominates, the point is they have monopoly power, which means the market has these characteristics. The firms are the number one most important thing is that the firms are price makers, price setters. You can say whichever one you prefer. They have that power to set their own prices. They don't have to follow the crowd because there is no crowd.
Okay.
Apple can set their iPhone 17 next year at basically whatever price they want because there's no one competing, no one quite making the same thing that they are making.
All right. Okay.
Not a perfect example because there's still some degree of competition from, say, Samsung, but that's the rough idea.
All right. Okay.
Firms are price setters. Secondly, there are high barriers to entry, which
Mm.
because sometimes you have situations where they charge really high prices, but someone can come in and undercut them. But no, in a monopoly, there's high barriers to entry. And you might want to give some examples. There are different ones, like legal ones like patents, or the easiest one to describe in an example and in an essay is just high startup costs. If somebody exists and they invested so
Mm.
much in their business and set up so much, another firm is it's very difficult or unlikely for a new firm to even bother competing because they would have to put so much in to just catch up with the existing firm.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So when we're introducing a monopoly or a monopoly power in, say, this essay, for example, where's the one gone about? So say this one, discuss whether government should consider regulating. So you'll start off by literally saying a firm with monopoly power has a high market share. They are price makers, and there are also likely to be high barriers to entry, preventing other firms from entering the market, such as high startup costs.
Okay.
There's also other bits, but we don't really need to worry too much about going into detail. But for example, there's imperfect information, which makes it difficult for other competitors or customers to know what, say, the monopoly's costs are or what they're doing behind the scenes, what the fair price is, and so on.
Mhm.
And they are selling a unique product. That's also quite important. You can also say product differentiation is, but you can literally just say they sell a unique product as opposed to competition where, say, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, Lidl, they all sell a very similar product for milk or for butter, or there's a lot of.
Mm.
Okay, this is the juicy bit then. So for every single market structure, what you want to do is market structures in general. Your paragraph will basically include a description of the market structure, which is what we've done so far. Second, a diagram. A little bit of just talking through the diagram because you want to just describe what you've drawn, and then you can get to the pros and cons. And that's what we talked about earlier with these efficiencies. So now this is the hardest bit that you have to pay attention to. And in general,
Mm.
revising diagrams, because you're going to have to learn all your diagrams this month, and it is possible. Make sure you learn your diagram. Don't look at somebody's finished diagram and copy that. Remember the
Mm.
steps which I draw the diagram in and practice it after the lesson.
Can you just increase your thingy audio? Like I've done it for my side somehow. It's like I
Uh,
can hear that. It's like very like your voice is very low for some reason.
you not hear me? Like, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit low. So like
Are you ready?
yeah.
So let's learn the diagram step by step for Monopoly. So
Mm.
first thing is what goes on the axis. We've got quantity, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
price, but you can also write price slash cost slash cost. slash revenue.
Yep.
Step one is to draw the average cost curve. So follow along as well and do it on your own paper. You've got the average cost curve, which is U-shaped. In first year, you learn about something called economies of scale. So when you revise that, it might ring more of a bell. But for now, just remember that the average cost curve is U-shaped. The second curve I draw is the marginal cost curve. That's like a tick, and it goes through the middle, this point here.
Okay.
The reason is like obviously economists and mathematicians in the past have worked it out, or they've got like real life examples, and it always goes through. So we just have to learn that for our sake. Second, we have the demand curve. So this marginal cost curve is kind of like the supply curve, and now we
Yeah.
have the demand curve as well. Okay. So just draw that going this way. The only thing is I don't like it interfering with the middle and stuff. It's a bit annoying. So wait, I'm just thinking.
How come?
Wait 1 second. I'm just gonna check what happens. Yeah, no, I don't want it interfering with the middle. So I just do it over just do it on this just do it on the side of the as long as it's on the right side of this, it's fine.
Uh,
Sorry, 1 second. So just do that over here. That's the demand curve, the average revenue curve. And then the last curve you have is the marginal revenue curve. That's twice as steep as the average revenue curve.
uh,
Okay. So mine was a bit messy actually because I had to do it loads to the right, but make sure it doesn't go through the middle because it just makes it weird later when I'm going to do the quantity and price. So I'll draw it one more time. There's no rush. This is like an important bit that you want to get right. Talk me through it this time. So just talk me through the steps.
on the x-axis is quantity,
Yep.
or the price on the y-axis, price costs, or
Yep.
revenue, or and then quantity on the y-axis.
Yep.
Then you draw the AC curve,
Yep.
and then after that you draw the tick, and choose the MC
Good.
curve, and then you draw. I think it's AR that goes on the right.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, down. Go. Yeah, that's it. And I think that's about it.
Good. One more.
AR, and then another line going down
Twice
from
as
there.
twice as steep. Yeah.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
Cool.
And so one was AR and the other one's
Emma.
L.
So it says MAMA. So that Ma going that way. If that helps. So it will say MA and then we'll say M and A. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Cool. So basically now we've done this. Where are the firm going to operate? So in year 12, it was obviously easy. Wherever supply met demand is your quantity. But now we've got to decide where the monopoly will operate. So the monopoly will operate where they can maximize profits. Maximize profit is when MC equals MR. Okay. I can
Mm.
explain why that's the case, or you can memorize it. It's up to you. Um, do you,
Can you explain why? Explain
yeah,
why, and then I'll memorize it as well.
okay. Let me finish the diagram, and then after I finish, I'll explain why it's MC equals MR.
All right.
So MC equals MR is this point right here. So I'm just gonna go
Uh,
there.
yeah. So I was saying, like, can you explain the diagram for me? Because sometimes I just don't know how to explain the diagram.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I will. Let me just finish drawing it, and then we'll
yeah,
go through the explanation. So we've got Q1 over here. Yeah,
yeah.
that's where MC equals MR.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna go up until I hit the average revenue curve.
Wait, is M equals MC like pi max?
Profit max, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I'm gonna go this way. That's gonna tell me the price.
Okay.
So I got my profit maximizing quantity, that's Q1 from here.
Yeah.
Then I have to go up to my demand curve because that's gonna tell me how much people will pay.
Mm.
Quantity, the demand curve is telling me how much people are willing and able to pay. And the cost curve is telling me how much it's gonna cost me on average to make that amount of goods and services.
All right.
Okay, so that whole rectangle here is the firm's profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Firm's profit.
So why is MC equals MR profit max? So if you think about it, do you know what what does M stand for?
Margin,
Yeah, and what does marginal mean in economics? Do you know?
like additional.
Additional good. So if I've got MC and I've got MR,
Is the additional
so my marginal revenue is telling me, my marginal cost is telling me how much extra does it cost me to make one more item, and my marginal revenue is telling me how much extra will I make just for one extra item. So if I make one item exactly, it's going to cost,
mm,
say, £5, and it's going to bring me in £100. Okay.
all right.
Will I decide to make that item? Of course I will, because I make £95 profit for making one item.
Mm,
If I make
okay.
another item, I can maybe only have a cost of, say, £3, and I can bring in, say, £90. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a big gap between the marginal cost, the extra cost, and the extra revenue. If I keep going over here at a random point, the marginal revenue is still higher than the marginal cost. Basically, I'm saying to make one extra item at this point, I'm still making more money than it's costing me. Finally, when I get to this point over here, it costs me, say, I don't know, £10 to make the item, and it will bring me in an extra £10. So there's no harm in making it or not making it. But every item before that was profitable. When I say profitable, it means extra, 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 extra profit each time I make another item.
Oh, before the profit max.
Yep. And if I make another item here, I'm not making a loss, definitely not making a loss,
Mm.
but I'm losing out on my profit now because for that extra item, it's costing me £11, but I'm only bringing in £9.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't keep making more items now because I'm gonna eat into my own profit. That
Mm.
I'm not making a loss in total because I made all this profit, but if I make another item, that item is gonna be on a loss. That specific next item.
Oh, the next one after that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Been making like £1 million profit, but now my profit's gonna go down to 900,000 if I make more.
Mm. Okay.
So I would stop there. I would stop at the profit maximizing quantity.
Mm. All right.
Okay. So we've done the diagram. The next thing I was saying is we describe the diagram. So we already talked it through, but this is how I would write it. So I would just say the diagram above shows the outcome of a firm with monopoly power. Or the outcome in a monopoly market.
Mm.
So they set they aim to profit maximize,
Yeah.
which means they sell, they produce at the quantity at which MC equals MR. If you've got time, you can describe that a bit further and just say that any all the quantities leading up to that make extra profit, but you don't need to do that. That's good enough as it is, okay? So
Okay.
that is where profit MC equals MR. At that quantity, uh Q1, the price is P1 as it is as shown by the AR curve. And at that quantity, the cost is C1 as shown by the average cost curve. The final point is the firm is making a supernormal profit of the shaded rectangle, shown by the shaded rectangle.
Yeah.
0 C1, 0 Q1, P1 C1, if you want to say that. We don't have to.
Okay.
But in multiple choice and short questions, they ask about like stuff like that. So that's how you do your rectangle. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We're pretty much done. We can add one more point just to show off a bit. We can say that also, as there are no barriers to entry, no, there are high barriers to entry in a monopoly market structure. This means that new firms cannot join easily, as they would find it difficult to compete. 1 second, someone at the door, sorry.
Yeah.
They would find it difficult to compete with due to the high startup costs or patterns or other barriers, which you can like depending on the extract or the question, you might be able to come up with other examples. Cool, that's the analysis bit done. Okay.
Uh,
What's next?
uh, oligopoly.
No, as in what's next to end of our paragraph.
Oh, evaluation.
Yeah. So we might have to say what's good and bad about it. So we can either say, depending on the question, we want to talk about the good or the bad things first, and then
Yeah.
evaluate the other way around. So for
So is that basically it about explaining the diagram? That's it.
sorry.
Is that basically it explaining the diagram
Yeah,
about?
yeah. We're going to refer to the diagram still though when we're talking about
Yeah.
present. Do you remember what dynamic efficiency was?
Or the definition?
Yeah, or description.
No, I can't remember.
Okay. So here it says that dynamic efficiency is when a firm is able to make supernormal profit in the long run. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Does this firm make supernormal profit in the long run?
Um, no.
What do you mean no?
Actually, wait, it does.
Yeah. The price is higher than the cost. So
Yeah.
price to entry, so they make supernormal profit.
Okay.
So monopolies are able to make supernormal profit
Mm.
in the long run. This is known as this is good because they can reinvest it and innovate their products, which means consumers get access to better products over time. For example, iPhones becoming better, AirPods, or in the pharmaceutical industry, there's new things that can cure different like vaccinations, for example. AstraZeneca have monopoly power. They're able to create
Yeah.
these quickly, but they've been charging very high prices for everything they've been doing, and they've been able to generate profits, which they can use to constantly invest into research and development and innovation.
Yeah. Okay.
You can and then just say that this is known as, then you're just adding your theory in. This is known as dynamic efficiency.
Mm.
If you want, you can link it to your red shaded rectangle again and just say that that's showing it, but we already talked about it earlier, so it's fine.
Uh,
You can evaluate that back if you want by saying that it's not guaranteed that they will invest it, but in terms of our theory, we would expect them to. Okay.
yeah.
The cons, so the other three are all cons for monopoly. So we talked about allocative efficiency and productive efficiency. The way we do this, so productive efficiency was when they're at the bottom of the average cost curve, yeah?
Yeah.
So the bottom of the average cost curve is this point here, because remember, marginal cost goes through the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
This quantity would have been productively efficient. But
All right.
quantity. So therefore, we can just say that we're not productively efficient.
Okay.
Second thing is that we're not allocatively efficient. Allocative efficient was AR equals MC. Where's that? That's over here.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, supply equals demand over there. So that leads to this quantity.
Mm.
That
Uh,
quantity would have been allocatively efficient, but we're not at that quantity. We're at Q1. And that would have led to a nice low price of P2, but we're not over there. Okay,
Okay.
so we can just write, however, the monopoly is not minimizing average cost. This is because this is seen as Q1 is not at the bottom, the average cost curve.
Yeah.
Or you can say at Q1, MC does not equal AC. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is bad because the monopoly is being wasteful.
Mm.
They are X inefficient. You can add that if you are familiar with that, but it's basically saying that the firm has no incentives to minimize costs. Basically, most firms, they want to make more profit, they'll try and minimize costs, but monopolies have so much price setting power, they can set their own prices, and if they ever wanted to make more profit, they could raise prices even more. They don't need to worry about minimizing costs, and that's what leads to waste.
Oh, okay.
For example, Apple could probably do things cheaper if they wanted to, but they don't have to because they can just charge high price instead.
Oh, okay. Right.
And downside is the lack of allocative efficiency. This is seen as at Q1, MC does not equal AR. When MC equals AR, welfare, basically consumer and producer surplus,
Mm.
is maximized. However, consumer surplus is far from maximized in a monopoly outcome, and this is because they are able to charge very high prices.
Oh, okay.
That's it, done. Contestability we don't have to talk about because, but we have already mentioned it. It's about how barriers to entry are low. Sorry, how barriers to entry are high, so new firms can't come and undercut them. But overall, monopolies are actually the only firm who are dynamically efficient. Sorry, the only market structure that are dynamically efficient. That's because all the other market structures have a lot of competition, or even some competition, so they can't invest as much as monopolies. So monopolies are very good in one specific way, which is about their ability to reinvest and create cool things.
Okay.
Bad thing is obviously just in everyday words that they charge too much high prices. But then we can make it into theory by talking about allocative efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Get it.
Do you think you
Mhm.
can? Do you think you can learn that?
Yeah, I was done that.
Basically, I would say do some flashcards or test yourself on these efficiency definitions.
Yeah.
Second, test yourself on the diagram. Once you've
Mm.
done that, use that to use the notes to help you and write the bullet points that we've done as a paragraph. So don't just read over it, actually try and write it. And if you do this every day for different subtopics, you'll literally be able to do it in a month's time. But you have to try and write the paragraph yourself because first of all, it will help you to like actively recall everything you learn. And secondly, you'll be in practice already of by the time exam comes, you'll be in practice and know exactly how to write your answer.
Yeah, so I'll write them and then I'll send you a picture. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, and I'll mark it, I'll check it. And then we'll repeat that again for different topics. So I was like making a list of the different things. I was gonna do things in order and make other videos as well, but for example, with market structures, we'll go through monopolies, we'll go through maybe natural monopolies, we'll go through oligopolies, monopolistic competition. So you got enough stuff to do, but you're gonna have to do stuff outside the lesson as well and go through them one by one every day, like for because you got like a month and a bit.
How should I do it outside of lesson as well? Like, can you
Uh,
give me like companies?
outside of lesson, I'm gonna give you some videos or notes, whichever you learn best from, and you can repeat the process of as many things as we do in the lesson as to your best ability outside, and you can still ask for help, but mostly just use the videos and try and repeat whatever we're doing.
Okay, the videos like your videos, the recordings.
Some of them I'll have videos but I recorded. And if I don't, I'll just use Econ or but if not, I've written stuff down. I've got notes and all that. But
What about the notes that you said you're gonna send me? Like you got them online, something.
yeah, I thought I sent them already, but I'll send them to you. I'll send them to you.
All right.